Brothers and sisters, let me ask you something simple yet deeply unsettling. What do you do when something small disturbs your peace, when a tiny creature enters your home unwanted, uninvited, uncomfortable? You rush to remove it, you feel uneasy, you feel annoyed, but do you ever stop and think, what if that moment was not random? What if that discomfort was not meaningless? What if Allah was gently knocking at your heart using something so small that you would never expect it? Because sometimes Allah does not shake the earth to wake us up. Sometimes He sends a whisper, crawling across the floor. A believer understands that life is not a series of accidents stitched together by chance. Every moment, every encounter, every ease and every discomfort unfolds by the permission of Allah. What appears random to the human eye is perfectly measured in divine wisdom. The heart that is connected to faith learns to read life differently, not with suspicion or fear, but with awareness and trust. When something unexpected happens, the believer does not immediately ask, "Why me?" but instead asks, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" Allah is not careless with His servants. He is aware of every footstep, every breath, every thought that passes through the heart. When something small disrupts our routine, it is not meaningless. When plans change suddenly, it is not without reason. Even moments of irritation, delay, or discomfort are wrapped in mercy, though the mercy may be hidden. A believer knows that if Allah allowed it, then there is wisdom in it, even if that wisdom is not immediately clear. Many people only recognize divine involvement during major events such as loss, illness, or hardship. Yet a believer realizes that Allah's guidance is constant, not occasional. It appears in subtle reminders, gentle nudges, and situations that force us to pause. Sometimes Allah protects us through inconvenience, sometimes He redirects us through discomfort. What we perceive as interruption may actually be divine intervention. Nothing in a believer's life is wasted. Every moment either elevates the soul or exposes what needs correction. When the heart becomes negligent, Allah does not abandon it. Instead, He sends reminders in forms we cannot ignore. These reminders may not come with thunder or warnings that shake the earth. They often arrive quietly, asking us to reflect, to clean up, to realign, and to return. The believer does not live in paranoia, searching for omens, but lives in consciousness. There is a difference between superstition and reflection. Reflection leads to accountability, while superstition leads to fear. A believer reflects and improves. When something occurs unexpectedly, it becomes an opportunity to check one's prayers, intentions, habits, and priorities. It becomes a mirror, not a threat. This mindset brings peace. Knowing that nothing is random removes anxiety and replaces it with trust. Life stops feeling chaotic and starts feeling purposeful. Even when answers are delayed, the heart remains steady because it knows that Allah is in control, and He never acts without wisdom, mercy, and care for those who believe. In the vastness of Allah's creation, even the smallest of creatures carry lessons and reminders for us. The humble cockroach, often seen as insignificant or even repulsive, is a perfect example of this divine wisdom. While we might dismiss its presence as mere coincidence or nuisance, it is crucial to remember that nothing in the universe happens without the knowledge and decree of Allah. Every creature, no matter how small, is part of a greater plan designed to guide, warn, or remind us in ways we might not immediately understand. These tiny beings serve as mirrors reflecting our own state of awareness and mindfulness. When a cockroach enters our home, it may initially appear trivial, yet it can act as a subtle nudge from Allah, prompting us to reflect upon the cleanliness of our surroundings, both physically and spiritually. Just as we care for our homes, Allah encourages us to care for our hearts and souls, removing anything that may corrupt or weaken our connection with Him. Small creatures entering our space are reminders that vigilance and care are essential, not just in outward actions, but in our inner lives as well. Furthermore, the presence of these small creatures often awakens a sense of humility in us. They remind us that we are not in absolute control of our environment. Despite our efforts, Allah's wisdom surpasses our understanding, and we are reminded to trust Him in every detail of our lives. They teach patience, attentiveness, and awareness of the unseen dimensions of our existence. Each time we notice these tiny signs, we are given an opportunity to pause and reflect on our behaviors, our intentions, and the alignment of our lives with divine guidance. Small creatures also emphasize the interconnectedness of all creation. The cockroach, though considered lowly, plays a role in the ecosystem that sustains life. Similarly, the trials and reminders we encounter in life, whether large or small, are interconnected threads in the tapestry of Allah's wisdom. Recognizing the significance of these subtle signs trains our hearts to perceive lessons in every aspect of life, cultivating gratitude, mindfulness, and a deeper connection with our Creator. Thus, even in the smallest beings, there is a profound message. Nothing is insignificant in the eyes of Allah. Every creature, every event, every tiny nudge in our daily lives carries meaning, urging us to be conscious, reflective, and spiritually alert. The humble reminders from these small creatures awaken our hearts to the greater lessons woven throughout our lives, if only we choose to observe and act upon them. Physical discomfort often serves as a mirror reflecting the state of our inner self. In Islam, the connection between the body and the soul is deeply intertwined. When we experience unease, whether it is a persistent illness, a sudden fatigue, or even minor irritations, it can be a sign that our spiritual well-being has been neglected. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, uses these moments to alert us, to nudge us back onto a path of reflection, purification, and mindfulness. Our bodies are entrusted to us, and caring for them goes hand in hand with caring for our hearts and souls. Ignoring the signals of physical discomfort can often mean ignoring the reminders of spiritual imbalance. Many people underestimate the significance of seemingly trivial pains or persistent discomforts. Yet, when we pause and reflect, we realize that these moments are opportunities for self-assessment. A headache might remind us to reduce stress and reconnect with Allah through patience and prayer. Fatigue may serve as a warning that our routines, whether in worship, ethical conduct, or daily responsibilities, have drifted from balance. Every ache, every sense of unease can be interpreted as a gentle wake-up call, encouraging us to realign our lives with divine guidance. Moreover, physical discomfort teaches humility and reliance on Allah. When we face limitations in our bodies, we are reminded that ultimate strength, health, and ease are gifts from Allah alone. This awareness fosters gratitude and a sense of accountability for how we live our lives. Spiritual neglect often manifests in neglecting our physical selves as well, indulgence, negligence of health, or ignoring routines of cleanliness and self-care. These outward signs are not disconnected from our inner state. They are reflections of the soul's condition. Through these experiences, Allah encourages self-examination and transformation. Just as we rush to address physical pain with care, attention, and medicine, we are reminded to address spiritual pain with sincerity, repentance, and devotion. Ignoring either can lead to a compounding of hardship. The body, in its discomfort, speaks to us in a language of urgency: pay attention, rebalance, return to what is right. In essence, every physical discomfort carries a deeper meaning beyond the immediate pain. It invites us to consider our inner state, our spiritual habits, and the alignment of our life with the guidance of Allah. Attentiveness to these signs allows us not only to heal the body, but also to restore the soul, reminding us that the health of one reflects the health of the other. Through this awareness, we can achieve harmony, recognizing that physical well-being and spiritual mindfulness are inseparable gifts from our Creator. Allah, in His infinite mercy and wisdom, does not punish without first sending warnings. This is a fundamental principle that reminds us of His justice and compassion. Every difficulty, every subtle nudge in our lives, and every unusual event can serve as a warning if we are attentive. The purpose of these warnings is not to instill fear alone, but to guide us toward reflection, repentance, and reform. Allah gives ample opportunity for correction before consequences manifest fully, and this is a sign of His mercy upon His servants. Ignoring these warnings, however, can lead to greater trials and, eventually, divine accountability. Throughout life, we encounter situations that seem insignificant at first, but carry deeper messages. A minor illness, a loss, a repeated mistake, or even an unexpected disruption in our routine can act as a warning from Allah. These moments urge us to pause and examine our actions, our intentions, and the state of our hearts. When we pay attention to these signs, we are given the chance to realign ourselves with what is right, to seek forgiveness for our shortcomings, and to improve our conduct. These warnings are like gentle taps on the shoulder, reminding us that our choices have consequences and that divine guidance is always available. The wisdom behind warnings is profound. Allah desires for us to succeed in both this life and the hereafter. Punishment without warning would leave no room for repentance or self-correction, and that would contradict the nature of divine mercy. Through warnings, Allah gives us control over our destiny. It is a test of awareness, humility, and obedience. The key lies in recognizing these signals, understanding their meaning, and taking immediate action. Failure to heed them is often what leads to the consequences that people later describe as divine punishment. Warnings can come in many forms, from external events to inner discomforts, from societal challenges to personal struggles. Each is designed to awaken the conscience, prompt reflection, and encourage positive change. Those who are mindful recognize these signs and act accordingly, finding mercy and protection in their responsiveness. Those who dismiss or ignore them risk encountering trials that could have been avoided. Ultimately, warnings before punishment are a manifestation of Allah's justice intertwined with His mercy. They serve as reminders that life is not random and that guidance is always available. For a believer, understanding and responding to these warnings is a form of spiritual vigilance, a way to maintain alignment with divine guidance, prevent harm, and secure the pleasure of Allah. Attentiveness to these signs transforms challenges into opportunities for growth, protection, and closeness to the Creator. In our daily lives, it is common for people to attribute events to superstition, luck, or random chance. But Islam teaches us a far more empowering approach: self-accountability. Every outcome we experience, whether good or bad, is deeply connected to our actions, intentions, and relationship with Allah. Relying on superstition diminishes our responsibility, distracts us from self-reflection, and undermines the spiritual growth that comes from acknowledging our own role in the events of life. True awareness comes when we take ownership of our deeds and examine how our choices align with divine guidance. Self-accountability requires honesty with oneself. When challenges arise, instead of blaming external forces, a believer evaluates their behavior, intentions, and priorities. Was there negligence in fulfilling obligations? Did we ignore acts of kindness, prayer, or ethical responsibilities? These reflections are crucial because they allow us to identify the areas of our lives that need correction. Superstition, on the other hand, offers an easy escape, a way to externalize blame and avoid the hard work of introspection. It distracts the heart from recognizing the lessons embedded in life's experiences and can lead to repeated mistakes. Islam encourages us to see life as a series of signs, opportunities, and tests. Every event, whether perceived as positive or negative, carries a message that can guide us toward improvement if we are attentive. Self-accountability transforms difficulties into tools for spiritual growth. By acknowledging our mistakes, seeking forgiveness, and taking corrective action, we align ourselves with Allah's guidance. This conscious effort strengthens our character, purifies our hearts, and deepens our reliance on Allah, not superstition or irrational fears. Moreover, self-accountability fosters humility and resilience. When we understand that our actions directly impact our circumstances, we become more deliberate in our choices. We learn to act with integrity, to plan carefully, and to seek Allah's help while taking practical steps to improve our situations. Superstition, in contrast, promotes passivity, fear, and dependence on meaningless symbols or rituals, leaving the believer spiritually stagnant. Ultimately, the path of self-accountability is empowering because it restores agency and clarity. It reminds us that our lives are shaped by intention, effort, and obedience to Allah. By focusing on our own responsibility, we cultivate awareness, discipline, and faith, ensuring that we respond to life's challenges with wisdom rather than fear. Choosing self-accountability over superstition is a sign of spiritual maturity, a commitment to truth, and a way to navigate life with clarity, purpose, and divine consciousness. Annoyance is a natural part of life, something every person experiences daily, whether through minor irritations, conflicts with others, or unexpected setbacks. While many dismiss these feelings as insignificant, Islam teaches us that even moments of frustration carry profound opportunities for reflection and spiritual growth. The way a believer responds to annoyance can either deepen their connection with Allah or allow their heart to drift toward negativity. Recognizing annoyance as a signal, a nudge to pause, reflect, and correct transforms what seems like a nuisance into a path toward repentance and self-improvement. When we encounter situations that provoke irritation, it is easy to react impulsively, blaming others or external circumstances. However, taking a step back and examining the root of our annoyance often reveals a deeper lesson. Perhaps it is a sign that our patience is weak, our temper is unchecked, or our reliance on Allah is insufficient. These moments are invitations to self-examination. What part of my behavior contributed to this feeling? How can I respond in a way that aligns with gratitude, humility, and faith? In this way, annoyance becomes more than an emotional response. It becomes a mirror reflecting the state of our heart and character. Turning annoyance into repentance also requires mindfulness and self-control. Rather than venting or reacting harshly, a believer consciously chooses patience, seeking forgiveness for any thoughts or impulses that may have been impure. This process strengthens both character and spirituality. It reminds us that even minor emotional disturbances can be gateways to purification when handled with awareness and sincerity. Every moment of irritation, when approached with reflection, is an opportunity to reset our intentions, correct our actions, and draw closer to Allah. Moreover, annoyance can remind us of our dependence on Allah's guidance in all aspects of life. It encourages humility by showing us that we are not fully in control and that we must cultivate resilience, patience, and reliance on divine wisdom. In this sense, what appears to be a trivial discomfort transforms into a valuable lesson, nudging us toward repentance and spiritual refinement. Ultimately, the key is perspective. By viewing annoyance not as a burden but as a prompt for self-correction, a believer transforms a negative experience into a meaningful step toward growth. Every irritation becomes a reminder to purify the heart, seek forgiveness, and strengthen the relationship with Allah. In this way, even life's smallest disturbances serve a greater purpose, teaching patience, humility, and the profound art of turning everyday trials into pathways of repentance and spiritual elevation. In conclusion, life is filled with signs, reminders, and subtle lessons that often go unnoticed. From the smallest creatures entering our homes to moments of physical discomfort, from minor annoyances to unexpected challenges, nothing in a believer's life happens randomly. Allah, in His infinite wisdom and mercy, uses these moments to guide us, warn us, and encourage self-reflection. By paying attention to these signs, taking accountability for our actions, and responding with patience, repentance, and sincerity, we cultivate spiritual awareness and strengthen our connection with Him. Every warning is an opportunity, every discomfort a lesson, and every irritation a chance for growth. When we learn to recognize and act upon these signs, we not only protect our hearts and souls, but also align our lives with divine guidance, transforming ordinary moments into pathways of faith, mindfulness, and closeness to Allah.